Star Trek is, well, it's in a lot of trouble. But apparently the plan by CBS for All Access was to expand Star Trek and to create a universe, a shared universe of Star Trek programming. Yeah. They kind of already did that in the 90s, yeah, because they were called spinoffs then. But Next Generation spawned Deep Space Nine, Deep Space Nine spawned Voyager, and then after that was all done, Enterprise came in as a prequel series, and when that was canceled, that was pretty much the end of Star Trek on television. And then now we have, well, we had the bad robot movies. Only one was good. The first one, the third one was sort of okay. The second one was utter garbage. And then but if you thought that was bad, then we got Star Trek Discovery and Picard. In a lot of ways, you can argue Picard was worse because it actually had Picard in it. So, you know. But anyway, there were plans for other shows, and apparently the synopsis of these shows, or ideas for the concepts, if you will, leaked on 4chan, if it's to be believed. Now, one of the suspicions here that this is leaked deliberately to discredit critics of Star Trek. I guess so, or it might be a way to gauge the ideas and the reception of them as well, because what good would it do to discredit people on YouTube at this point? I mean, it's probably the only people watching this crap anymore. I won't be. I'm not going to watch season 3 of Star Trek Discovery. I quit CBS All Access, and I'm not going to the high seas or any of that. So anyway, the details of them was they were supposed to be a show called Star Trek Revolution, which kind of sounds like something they would have done that just is so far removed from Star Trek. It's just got the name Star Trek on it, and that's it. But it was supposed to involve superpowers, which is kind of like what they sort of did with Michael Burnham in her Iron Man suit that was a time machine, because she was the Red Angel, which even sounds like a superhero name. But apparently a Starfleet officer gets infused with a symbiotic being and gains powers like the ability to survive in space. So now, where this kind of delves off the deep end, they say Batwoman star Ruby Rose was said to be the front runner to play the lead role, so I guess she would have been the character who gets these superpowers. But the thing of it is, at the time, she was a part of Batwoman. They would not have known, I wouldn't think. I mean, how long was this in development and all that? That she just, left the show. Now, the show is terrible, Batwoman, but they renewed it. So they're going to go forward with it with a new actress and all that. So, but how could they have known this, that she would be available for it? I suppose you could argue she had more time or whatnot, but I don't know. Or they were trying to lure her over. That was, I think, one of the theories, that she wouldn't be involved in as much dangerous stunts and action that got her injured on Batwoman, and that would be a little enticement to join this series and jump ship. But I don't know. But anyway, why Ruby Rose? Well, the same reason she got the Batwoman role, because they wanted to stress the character's LGBT character sexuality there. And they forgot the IA and the Q and the plus. Oh, that's bad. Anyway, and she would lead a crew of misfits in exposing a conspiracy in the Federation. Well, okay. And you see bits of that in Discovery and even in Picard. So these elements do sound like something they would pursue. Whether this Ruby Rose business was the case, I rather doubt it. I don't know. But it's not that far-fetched that they would do a show like that. Apparently, production on Star Trek Revolution had progressed past the conceptual stage, as the leaker noted that not only would the Q have been involved, and John Delancey was approached. Well, how about that? But he said, "No, I'm going to work for the Orville." No, I don't know. If he was wise, he turned them down. The concept was alive and being developed as late as of June this year. Well, good Lord. That's a little over a month ago. Well, the thing about Star Trek is right now is they can't get the money to pay for the damn shows, and they can't get international distribution. The only other show they got season 3 of Star Trek Discovery coming, and they've got the cartoon show, the Lower Decks, and they can't get international distribution for it because they've burned so many bridges with these awful shows with the likes of Netflix and Amazon. So that's a bit of a problem. So anyway, the leaker continues with another shelled project called Star Trek Starfleet Academy, which was alive in 2018, was being developed as the Academy Days of Young Kirk with new actors. And apparently this is where the rumor came of Kirk being bisexual. And apparently in this pitch he was going to be bisexual in this story. So recently, there was this story that Kirk would be introduced in the Star Trek Strange New World series, which is about the Enterprise under the command of Captain Pike. And then eventually they would introduce a new Kirk, and some way or another this would introduce that he has bisexual tendencies. And so perhaps both scenarios are true, and that they were going to do this Starfleet Academy thing and they shelved it and decided to revisit this version of Kirk for yet again another prequel series of the Pike show, Strange New Worlds. And so that's how you can kind of shuffle these ideas around, because they don't have a whole lot. So maybe that's where that story came from. The Starfleet Academy idea has been around a long time, even before Kurtzman got his hands on Star Trek. I remember hearing there was an idea for a story back, I think even before Enterprise, where they were talking about a Starfleet Academy, and it would have been some kind of like, I don't know, teen soap opera type show, and that's basically what it would be, kids at the academy learning to become Starfleet officers, and so that's how that would run. Man, am I getting messages on my phone? Sorry about that. The idea of it, I don't like the teen soap opera idea, and I don't like young Kirk and all that, and just rewriting him, and it's, the only way that works is another alternate universe thing, and who cares? So apparently that got dropped, but then again, some elements of it might show up in the Strange New World show if that is to come to fruition, which I'm dubious of at this point. So then there was a show called Star Trek Destiny that apparently its trademark got leaked, so there was something about it, but apparently that was the Picard show, or they said it. Well, many thought it was the Picard show, but no, it wasn't. It's another show altogether. But apparently the concepts for this series were repurposed for Star Trek Discovery Season 3. So as the end of Season 2, the Discovery ends up traveling, 900 years into the future. And so Star Trek Destiny was supposed to be set in the distant future, and it would center around a diverse cast. Again, it's very similar to Revolution, fighting against an evil version of the Federation. And so these elements are just shifted around and repurposed for Star Trek Discovery Season 3. And there you go, which also fits in with Revolution if you think about it. I mean, it's kind of the same dumb plot. And but from the scenes that we've seen for teasers and trailers and whatnot, it appears the Federation no longer exists, and I guess it's been replaced by something evil and corrupt. Perhaps the Empire crossed over and took over. I don't know. But anyway, and only Michael Burnham can restore the era of justice and whatnot that the Federation represented. So that's that. So a lot of this ideas about these concepts being reused elsewhere after the initial show was pretty much done away with stands to reason and has some amount of credibility to it. Whether this is all crap, yeah, it could be, but it has some amount of credibility based on what we've already seen, that this is the type of nonsense they would pursue, because again, they don't have a whole lot of ideas. So just because one idea gets the axe doesn't mean they'll just rearrange the deck chairs for the other show. So they're very similar. So apparently, and of course, Section 31, which in Bounding into Comics, they talk about that this was a bombshell, that the show was dead, that it's not going to happen, that this was a show that the Empress from the Empire would come in and be a part of Section 31 and all this stuff. And it was supposed to start production or filming in May, and apparently didn't. Of course, there's COVID and everything. But apparently, which I didn't know, that the show was to deal with what's the name? Actress name? Yo. Her character would travel back in time to present day to stop Khan from rising to power. Which there again, maybe Section 31 would finally reveal that yes, this is an alternate timeline of Star Trek and has nothing to do with the original timeline from the earlier shows and films. So there you go. And been hearing about that show being dead for a long time, so that one is probably true. The only thing here that's giving me any pause here is the Ruby Rose business. So I don't know. So the final part was that they wanted other legacy actors from the previous shows as much as they possibly could to get them to appear on their Star Trek shows, but most of them ignored the offers and signed up for the Orville instead. Oh, that's got a sting. Which is, of course, the better Star Trek show. But also, yeah, Mecha Random, apparently the Bounding into Comics references her video on this, and she warned that this sounds a lot of nonsense and that none of this is plausible. Well, not entirely. I think some of it does sound like something they would do, but certainly this business of Ruby Rose, especially which means at a time when she was, for all intents and purposes, still Batwoman and involved in that show for another season and everything, and they would not have known that this was something they'd known about for quite some time, and this got around in the business, and they knew she was available or was going to be. But I don't know. I think it's a bit far-fetched. But the premise and the ideas of that, no, I don't think that's that far-fetched at all. I think they probably would pursue that. But, or at some time they did, and I mean, the way they try to sell Strange New Worlds is like, hey, we're just going to have adventure and explore and be episodic and all that and try to be back to what Star Trek's supposed to be. But, is that, do they even know how, so it's a huge mess. And so, yeah, possibly it's true. But I mean, if this was just to throw out for the purposes of discrediting YouTubers or critics of Star Trek, first of all, it wouldn't work. And because you say, well, there's this rumor, and right off the bat, there you go. It leaves up the possibility that none of it's true. So that doesn't really work a whole lot. The only thing that makes it make a bit of sense is that it's a way of gauging what reactions would be to these plot lines for Star Trek. And if there was any excitement or positivity towards it, then there's the green light, So, yeah. It all sounds like so much crap, even if it's true. So, oh, God. It's too bad, because a Pike series, yeah, that could have been something good. But a Picard series should have been something good. But it wasn't. You saw how that happened. So imagine what they would do with a Pike series. Oh, boy. Yeah. Oh, well. Sorry, Star Trek. Narratively, this is a franchise that could be saved. But at the moment, I don't see that in its future anytime soon.
All right. Thank you for watching and listening. Why not like and subscribe and check out that link description below. That'll take you to my mini stores that have plenty of goodies for you. You know, hats, mugs, stickers, posters, all that goody stuff. Plus, you can head over to indieplanet.com and pick up a copy of my comic book Night Night. Oh, yeah. Plus, you can also catch my podcast, Mr Nailsin Show, over at RadioMisfits.com. And you can also watch my videos on my channel at BitChute. That's the Mr Nailsin channel on BitChute.com.